1460 WVOX.
Stay tuned now for the Racing for Heroes radio show with host Brett Morash on 1460 WVOX.
Hey, Race for Heroes fans, it is Brett Morash. It is Friday, March 11th, 2022. We're here on WVOX 1460 AM and worldwide on VOX.com, but also on Facebook Live. And we'll be, of course, publishing this later on Spotify. Our first guest is no stranger to Racing for Heroes. She's been here before. Her name is Ursula Palmer. She is absolutely fantastic and is the executive director of military and veteran programs at our partner, the Cybercrime Support Network, which is just growing. It's like kudzu stuff that grows all over the place and is expanding everywhere. So, and she'll be talking about discussing cybersecurity for veterans and their families. And if you want to know what you can do to make yourself a hard target for scams, online scams in particular, then this is a don't miss show. So Ursula, welcome aboard.
Brett, thank you so much for having me again. It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, we're so glad to have you. I think it's been about a year since we had you on before, and the Cybercrime Support Network is getting bigger and bigger.
That's right. Well, you were very kind to have us right at the beginning when we first launched the program, and now we're almost at the year mark. We have 44 partners, including the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs, and we appreciate so much your partnership. And we're just hoping that we can, help the military and veteran community be safe from so many scams out there.
Well, and I think that, today, because it's so prolific, and it's always an ever-changing threat, you really have to be on your game. And we can talk about it a little later. I almost got scammed the other day. And it was pretty close. I was pretty close to giving them my information.
Wow. What helped you not to take that step and actually fall, into that scam? What did you see that you were able to recognize it?
Well, I'll tell you how it happened. So I was kind of going about my day, and I got a text, and it looked like it came from Bank of America, and it was, did you make a $2,500, or did you attempt a $2,500 Venmo to, a person? And, I typed back no, didn't think anything of it. About 5 minutes later, I got a phone call from, what sounded like Bank of America. And, I started talking to them. And then, it was kind of going down. I'm like looking at, I'm logging into my bank account. I'm like, nope, didn't do that. I don't know what you're talking about. Doesn't look like anything here. And then they started asking me questions that I was like, well, thinking in my head, aren't you supposed to know that? You should be looking at those screens. So I even queried him. I'm like, hey man, aren't you able to know my email address? Because he's asking me to give it to him. And at this point I'm like, oh, this guy's, okay. And then it was just also the way he talked was not as professional as I would expect from a bank employee. Which I know are pretty scripted to a degree. So that's what cued me. And then, I kind of dealt with him in my own way a little later in the story.
Well, but that was great. You're always going now, more and more often we receive those messages, those emails, or sometimes our texts, and they look that they come from, a reputable organization. They use their logo, they use a phone number that seems similar, they give you some of your personal information. So you don't think twice, and sometimes you just simply click on the link, reply to the email, answer the phone call. So I'm so glad that you were able to recognize that this was not this was a scammer, and they were just trying to, this is called a phishing email. They were trying to get more information so that they could actually get into your account and get your funds.
Well, it was a text. So it was even more, they must have,
there you go.
Yeah, but again, I think that was pretty sophisticated. And, I'd like to think of myself as a fairly smart guy. But at the end of the day, this could happen to anybody, and I think it's really important to have your head on a swivel when it comes to these things.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things is, we hate to think that we would, be so, or that we wouldn't recognize these things, but cyber criminals are so sophisticated and are creating so many different scams every day that sometimes it's very difficult for us to recognize. Even if we're working on cybercrime day in and day out, it's very easy to not be thinking, to be in a rush, and just go ahead and provide that extra piece of information or click on that link that we're not supposed to.
Yeah, and I think, one of the things we talked about before this week was that, the federal government or, the authorities, it's so extraordinarily hard for them to catch these criminals. And then the actual dollar value is at such a level, at least, individual scam, maybe not their collection for the week, is low enough that like they're not really able to chase these folks down. And, and if they're based offshore, even harder.
Exactly. So that's why it's so important for us to educate ourselves on all of those red flags. There's so many scams, but there's some red flags that are common to most of them.
Well, what are like the common scams that's going on like right now in this time of like 2022?
What are the most common? Well, I mean, if we're talking about the military and veteran community, all of the scams that affect the general population are going to affect us. There's a few more that are more common. I mean, and it depends on where in your military journey you are. So if you're a military spouse and you're trying to get, that next job, you just moved from one place to the other. So job scams are a big thing, because you're trying to find maybe that remote job. And you are online and on all these groups trying to find your next opportunity. So there you go. Or if you're transitioning, maybe you want to get a certification. There's the education scams, the scholarship scams. So I couldn't tell you that there's one that is more prevalent. Oh, there's a huge one.
The list
romance
is long and
scams.
illustrious.
Yeah. Romance scams affect the military and veteran community twofold. One, either people steal the pictures of our, men and women in uniform and use it to scam others, or sometimes these are older veterans that get targeted or survivors because the scammers know that they are receiving a steady paycheck, that benefits.
Sure.
So they know how to target that they should target them because there's money right there, and they may be lonely, so they are going to create these relationships, these fake profiles just to get money out of it.
Yeah, and it also seems like if it's too good to be true, you really got to take a step back and wait. Now, how does the employment scams work though? Because I think that is really worrisome. Where especially right now with, people now really re-entering the workforce after all the COVID shutdowns, people are out there putting their information out and it is that give and take, like you have to provide information in order to get a job. But, at what point, does it become a problem?
Well, yeah, there's a few red flags with some of these postings. The problem is the scams are posted in the same websites and job posting websites that are official. So they may be in LinkedIn, they may be in Indeed, they may be in all of the ones that are reputable, but these scammers go there and post these jobs. So in terms of the red flags for these type of scams, the one thing that you always need to be aware of is if they are going to ask you ahead of time for personal identifiable information, they don't even ask you for your resume. They tell you, I saw your profile. You seem like the perfect person for this job. You just need to give us your bank information so that, we can start the process and we can set up the deposit, the direct deposit, or we just need to fill out paperwork for the IRS. Give us your social security number.
Yeah.
Many times, these type of requests are through Messenger, through a text. They don't even send you through a official website of the organization. Sometimes these organizations are smaller, just created the fly. People do not take the time to go and see, am I talking to someone actually from this organization?
Yeah.
So, and the other thing is sometimes they tell you, look, you just need to pay a small fee for the training. And once you finish the training, you are guaranteed to get the job. So you should never pay for training for a job. You need to understand that they need you. I mean, you shouldn't be paying any fees. Yeah, any fees. Generally, bigger organizations have some type of training. but you should never be paying ahead of time. You should never be providing your social security number until you have an actually written offer. You know, it's just no personal information. Certainly not through online platforms, not through text, not through places like WhatsApp. It just make sure you verify that this organization exists, that this person works for that organization. And once you receive an offer and you have interviews, then at that point, once you know that this is a legit organization, then you can do your paperwork, but not before.
That's an excellent point, because I really do think that people have become so used to being remote that, they're somewhat tricked into this, that it's okay to be like that in the cyber environment, when in reality, it's so dangerous.
Oh, yes. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So what's next for the Cybercrime Network military veteran programs? What's some of your upcoming initiatives?
Well, right now that, we have 44 partners, we're working with all of them to bring this education, this awareness to the military and veteran community. So we are inviting everyone in this community, all the VSOs that maybe are not our partners yet, to come on board, because it's only through them, through people like you, through trusted organizations, that we're going to be able to provide this information to get to our military and veteran community, so that they can recognize how cybercrime presents itself, learn how to report it, and then if they have been impacted, know what to do to recover. And again, we can only do this through trusted organizations that have been working with the military and veteran community throughout the years.
Interesting. And if anyone's interested in your, what's next, what do they call? I mean, where do they go on the web? Excuse me. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Please visit fightcybercrime.org/military. And there you're going to find not only what to do if you want to be a part of this program, but if you you need information on all of the different scams, you will find the most common scams in the military, and really all the scams for the general population, how you recognize them, what are the red flags, where you go to report them, and what to do to recover if you have been impacted. There's a lot of events also coming up with our partners. We just had one with MOA, and where we're able to talk directly and answer questions directly to their members. And we will have several like that with other partner organizations.
Yeah, that's great, because that's, organizations like MOA and American Legion, and obviously the Veterans Administration, have incredible outreach. And, I think that's the biggest piece of this, is making sure that, people are aware of these sorts of things and where they can go to learn more.
Exactly. So that's why thank you, Brett, so much for having me here, for allowing me to provide this information and reach out to your members. And if there's anything that we can do, please make sure you visit our website. We have a lot of information, and just let us know how we can help.
Yeah, well, we're excited to be partners with you. And again, anyone out there listening, and even if you're not a veteran, I'm sure that there's stuff on the Cybercrime Support Network that will be important for you as well. So, kind of like a little double plug there. So thanks so much, Ursula. And I hope to talk to you again soon.
Well, Brett, thank you again. I appreciate it.
All right. And ladies and gentlemen, that was Ursula Palmer, the Executive Director of Military and Veteran Programs at the Cybercrime Support Network. However, we are now shifting gears back into racing, and we have Hayden Bowlsbey, an 18-year-old Formula F3 driver based out of Covington, Louisiana, who'll be piloting the number 3 IGY6 Motorsports FR car in the 2022 season. Hayden is partnered with one of our allies out at Save 22, a veteran nonprofit that helps spread awareness about American veterans who are fighting battles even after they come back home. And as you can tell from the Save 22, they are very much involved in the suicide prevention efforts for the veteran space. So Hayden, how are you doing, my friend?
Good. How are you? Thank you, Brett, for having me on the show.
No, we're excited to have you. I mean, it's not every day we get a Formula race car driver on the show. So I think this might even be a first for Race Heroes Radio. Hey, Hayden, you there?
Yeah. Yes, sir. I'm here.
Oh, sorry. I was gonna say, yeah, I thought this is the first for Race Heroes Radio having a Formula driver.
Oh, yeah.
But well, because that's like a different type of racing than I think you see normally with Racing for Heroes. Like we'll have like late model dirt cars that, you know, the wheels are covered because it's all open wheel with formula, right?
Yeah, it's completely open wheel. We have the Halo now, but it's still pretty much open wheel.
Yeah, well, that's well, the Halo saves your head when in a crash.
Yeah.
I didn't even realize they added those to the F3s as well as the F1 type cars. So, hey, what are your thoughts on the championship? By the way, I know we didn't talk about this before, but for Formula.
For the upcoming F3 championship?
No, the big one, like Formula.
Oh, F1.
Did you think Hamilton was robbed? What do you think?
It's kind of tough because like there's some people who say he got it robbed, but I mean, I can see it, I guess, but I don't think the outcome would have been changed if it because the race director went by the regulations. Like he let cars pass, and I believe the issue was that he didn't let all the cars pass.
Yeah, I think so. I think you're right.
I don't think that it would have really made a difference.
No, that's okay. But let's start talking about your racing. I'm so sorry. I'm so excited having a Formula race car driver on here. So tell us about the IGY Motorsports FR car, number 3 car. Yeah,
so it's a Ligier Automotive Honda powered Formula regional car.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be driving under the IGY6 Motorsports banner. We are a team that's partnered with Save 22.
Mm-hmm.
Our big goal is to help veterans, bring veterans to the track. You know, that's what we want to be doing. Every time we bring veterans to the track, it's pretty much a positive outlook, or I shouldn't say outlook, but like pretty much a positive outcome. We have a lot of veterans that come and they have a good time.
Oh, that's great. Well, when's your next race coming up?
It's in just 4 weeks. It's going to be April 8th through the 10th at NOLA Motorsports Park.
Mm-hmm. Down in Louisiana.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And it's just 3. Is it 3 days of racing, like straight out, or qualifying?
It's probably going to be like a Thursday practice and Friday qualifying, Saturday race, Sunday race.
Gotcha. And how is the car looking for this year? I mean, pretty solid, ready to rock and roll.
Yeah, I mean, it's a completely different style of driving from F4. I've been used to driving F4. I've been driving that car for pretty much 3.5 years now.
Oh, wow.
So jumping to F3, it's a lot heavier. It's got more power. It's got the turbo on it.
Mm-hmm.
It's got a turbo lag, so you got to shape your throttle to make it kick in at the right points. But again, it's heavy, so you have to drive it in a particular way to make it fast.
Yeah, so how is that different then?
It's a bit of a challenge. Like in F4, you would go into your corners and you hit your brakes. You hit them really hard, and then you want the rear to kind of come around a little bit, so that the front doesn't have to do most of the turning. You can kind of just turn with the rear.
Yeah, so it slides around almost.
Yeah, but it's a controlled.
It's controlled. Yeah, you're not drifting, right?
Yeah, and then in FR, it's a lot different because you can't do that because you're going so much faster. Any really graining or sliding against the tires, you're destroying the tires. And to put it in an example, if you lock up in an F4 car, there's a high chance that your tires will be fine. But if you lock up in an FR car, it hits a massive flat spot and it wears it all the way down to the court.
Huh. Well, see, I never knew that. That is amazing.
It's so much faster. The FR, where I normally going in the F4 car, in the FR car, I'm going 20 or 30 miles an hour faster.
Oh, it is that fast. And that was 180s, 190s on a straightaway?
Oh, I wish. It says it'll hit 165 on the top 6 gear.
Oh, okay, all right. It's still moving along.
Yeah. So, but we've probably gone we've gone around 150 right now. We haven't gone to a track that's been super huge on straightaways. NOLA probably will hit around the 150s, but a track like VIR in Road America will be up there. So
gotcha. And now this is your first year though with F3, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. And now who did you drive? I'm sorry, what and you drove F4 prior to that. And then how did you get into racing? Like as like a little kid, were you born on a go-kart, like that sort of thing?
No, my so on the how did I get into racing thing?
Yeah.
The way I like to tell people is my dad made a horrible mistake and he brought me to a NASCAR race. He brought me to Talladega.
Oh, he brought you to Talladega. We're going to talk about that in a second. So
yeah, probably one of the worst decisions he's ever made in his life.
No, he must be super proud of you though. That's great. I'm glad you're doing this. And of course, Save 22 is such an important organization.
Yeah, I enjoy being partner with Save 22. They're great guys. And, I really like what they're going, like what their purpose is. I like their purpose.
Well, yeah, I mean, listen, I think that, as you know, and we've talked about on Race Videos Radio before, there is 22 veterans a day committing suicide on average. That number has not gone down in about 15 years at this point. It is an absolute epidemic, and it affects all eras of military veterans, from the guys in the Vietnam generation all the way to folks just getting out of the military right now. So it's just absolutely tragic, and I'm glad to hear Save 22, and of course you in the number 3 car are going to be with their colors. Yeah, and I forgot to mention too, my dad is a Navy veteran as well. Oh, did you know what he did in the Navy? He was I know he was on the, I always mess this up. He was like on the ships for sure. He was working on like the missile systems and stuff. Okay.
The weapon system.
So he's probably a fire. Was he a fire controlman? Does that sound right?
Maybe.
That's all right. Next time we have you on, you'll have to tell you. You have to bring your dad, and he can tell us all about it. So
yeah.
Tell him I was on the mighty USS Barry, but you have to say it the mighty USS Barry. It strikes fear in the hearts of mortal men if you say it that way.
Gotcha.
No,
he was in the late 80s, I think.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, but we had destroyers and stuff then. They were worried about the Soviets, which I think we're all kind of worried, at least about Russia now. But yeah. He was in during a tough time. And that's great. So all right, so I do have a question for you. So we did talk about Talladega, and of course, I'm a big fan of Talladega Nights. But since you're our Formula driver, what was your favorite quote from Talladega Nights from Jean Gerard?
Jean Gerard?
The French guy, the French Formula driver.
Probably like the scene where he had Ricky Bobby pinned against the pool table. And says,
he wants crisps.
Do you like crisps?
I love that. My favorite scene though is when Jean Gerard, when he goes to his house and he's like, Ricky Bobby, hold my hand and walk with me. He's like, we don't do that around here. So it's the best. That's such a good movie. But now are you going to go from Formula to NASCAR? Is that a future endeavor? Not that I want you to jump off the IGY6 Motorsports team, but is that a long-term goal of yours, is trying to get into NASCAR or maybe even IndyCar or Formula?
NASCAR. I mean, I'll drive anything I can get in, but
Good man.
the big issue with NASCAR and especially Formula One is they're very, very expensive. You need a lot of good sponsors back to do that. IndyCar, it's still expensive, but it's not as much. So, but NASCAR, they run 3 times as many races as IndyCar, so their budget's effectively 3 times as much. True. No, listen, we have a Racer for Heroes, Bubba, that's been in the Cups, Cup Series over time, and it's expensive. I mean, one race is a lot of money. Much less all 36 or so. But no, but is IndyCar like the next step for you? Would that be the next step up in sort of the progression where you're going? So from Formula Regional, which is what I'm going to be doing this season, basically my next year projected, like after this season, what I would like is one of 3 options, which is if I need to do a second season in Formula Regional, try and secure some funding to go international and do FIA F3. Oh, neat. Okay, very cool. Or do Indy Lights, which is a step right under IndyCar. It's like AAA ball of IndyCar, right? Yeah, and FIA F3 and Indy Lights are roughly around the same budget. FIA F3 being a slight bit more, I believe. Roger. But
Roger. Hey, listen, we're getting to the last minute of the show. You want to throw in any sponsors, and where can people follow Hayden Bowlsbey Racing?
Yeah, I mean, I really just like having Save 22. I have this hat company called Finlay Hats, and they're good people. They're based out of Oregon. They make some pretty quality hats. They have this little lace and everything.
Oh,
and
nice.
It goes around your chin so you can't lose it.
Oh, very cool.
It's really nice. And before I go too, I wanted to tell you about Mid Ohio for the first F4 win.
All right, you got 30 seconds. Go ahead.
Gotcha. So we were at Mid Ohio. We had all the veterans there. We had a full veteran crew working on race cars.
Oh, wow.
And we won the weekend. We qualified first. It was a great weekend. And I know Johnny Moser was there. He had a great time.
The Johnny Moser. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, Johnny's the man. No, listen, and Hayden, that sounds amazing. I wish you all the luck. And I hope people to follow you on Facebook and all your other social media that's out there. And we're looking forward to seeing you do great things with Safe 22 out there.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
No, thank you, Hayden. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Hayden Bowlsbey, Formula 3 race car driver on the number 3 IGY Motorsports FR and Safe 22 veterans. He is just the man, and he's with just a great group. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to end our show here. We will see you again next week, and we'll let the real Doug Lane lead us off the track. Thanks.
Dream of chasing it just won't wait. It's just here.